Today, we're digging into a really curious story. It's about a feature on ChatGPT, one of the biggest AI tools out there, that was here one day and gone the next. We're going to break down what happened, why it's such a big deal, and what it tells us about this new world of AI and our own privacy.
But first, just think about this for a second. What if those private thoughts, or that little bit of coding help, or even those first drafts you work on with an AI, what if they weren't private at all? What if they could just show up on a Google search? Because that's pretty much exactly what happened here. And it's right at the heart of this whole thing.
So how in the world did we get to a place where private chats could even become public? Well, it all kicked off with an idea that honestly sounded pretty great on the surface. It was all about helping the community.
For a little while, ChatGPT actually let users share their conversations with a public link. The whole point was to let really useful or interesting chats be found by other people online. To build this massive public library of answers and ideas. Imagine you're stuck on a problem. You search online, and boom, someone else's chat has the perfect solution. That was the dream.
Okay, to really get what went wrong, you have to understand one crucial difference. Sharing a chat with a link wasn't new. You could always do that, send out a private link to a buddy like a DM. But this new feature added a little switch, a toggle that made your chat discoverable. Think of it like this. It's the difference between handing a personal note to a friend versus pinning that exact same note on a public bulletin board for the entire world and its search engines to see.
And yeah, that public bulletin board is exactly where things started to get messy. What began as this clever idea for sharing knowledge, well, it turned into a huge headache about unintended consequences.
The process that caused all the trouble was just dangerously simple. A user, maybe not even thinking about what it really meant, would just flip that switch to make their chat searchable. Then, the search engine crawlers do what they do best. They find that public link and they index the whole conversation. And just like that, what felt like a private chat with an AI was now a public and pretty much permanent record.
So what kind of stuff actually started popping up? All sorts of things, really. People started stumbling onto chats with personal stories, private thoughts, very specific coding problems, you name it. Now, this wasn't some massive, evil data breach, but the potential for really sensitive information to get out there was very, very real. And that was more than enough to set off some major alarm bells.
And it was the users themselves, the community, who noticed it first. People started finding these chats just by doing regular searches, and the word spread like wildfire. Even though sharing was something you had to opt into, it became really clear that a lot of people probably clicked that button without fully realizing their private conversation was about to go public.
So with these privacy concerns blowing up, all eyes were suddenly on OpenAI. What was they going to do? Well, their response was fast, and it was decisive.
And when I say fast, I mean fast. As soon as this issue really started gaining steam online, OpenAI didn't just try to fix it, they pulled the plug completely. Within hours, the option to make new chats searchable was just gone. They also started the really tough job of trying to get the chats that were already indexed removed from search engines to protect the users who had already opted in.
OpenAI's own explanation was crystal clear. In their own words, the risks outweighed the rewards. They were open about it. They said, look, we were trying to help people find useful chats, but they admitted that this feature, no matter how good the intentions were, just created too much risk.
This whole episode really shines a spotlight on a much bigger conversation that's happening in tech right now. It's this constant push and pull, this tug of war between making cool, useful stuff and, protecting our basic right to privacy.
You can really boil this whole thing down to a classic trade-off. On one side, you have the rewards, the great goals of discovering conversations, sharing knowledge, and helping people. But on the other side, you had the stark reality of the risks, accidental public exposure, leaking sensitive info, and just a basic violation of user privacy. It showed that even if you have to opt in, sometimes the risk is just too high.
When it's all said and done, this whole thing is a powerful reminder for our modern age. In the rush to build the next big thing, it's so easy to forget that the internet has a very, very long memory. Once something is out there, it is incredibly hard to take it back. It's a huge lesson for both the people building these tools and for all of us using them.
Which leaves us with one last big question to think about.
As these incredible AI tools get woven more and more into our daily lives, who's ultimately responsible for our privacy? Is it the companies that build the tech, or is it on us, the users, to really understand what we're sharing? The real answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Thanks for watching.